Chris, it's Ray. Stephanie's going to be doing timing for the candidates. She'll give you a cue when you're, 30 seconds, 15 seconds. And yeah, we'll make it happen. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Who's giving us a cue?
Stephanie right here.
Right here. We can do it.
That's right. She's going to be holding up the billboard. Okay, we're going to get started. Appreciate you guys showing up. The microphone here is for all of you to use. It's got battery, and you don't need to turn it off when you're done. Just set it down. And without further ado, I can start with the mayoral.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Starting alphabetically for the mayoral race, we're going to go with Mr. George Eskridge. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you all for being here, either virtually or in person, to listen to us as candidates and what our goals are for the office that we're seeking. My name is George Eskridge. I'm running for mayor, of course, of Dover. Just want that where you can hear it. I am a 3rd generation Dover resident, and I have witnessed my town, Dover, grow from a small mill town with dim prospects to the vibrant recreational destination we are today. Some of my priorities, I want to preserve our access to recreational amenities within the city. I want to improve our town's transportation infrastructure, including our walking and biking paths, our streets, and even more safety on Highway 2, entering and exiting Dover, from Dover, and also just as importantly, the same situation with Pine Street and getting on and off Pine Street, Highway 2. I want fiscal responsibility so our town's limited financial resources are spent wisely without the need for increasing local taxes. I want logical, sustainable growth for our town, growth that ensures economic viability balanced against our town's infrastructure limitations. So again, as a mayor candidate for Dover, I ask for your vote and ask that we all work together to ensure Dover's bright future. We've got a great town. We want to keep it the way it is and ensure that we keep it that way in the future as well. Thank you very much.
All right, and now we have Mr. Ryan Wells running for mayor in the Dover election.
Thanks, Chris and Ben. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and people online. I guess we can't see them yet. My name is Ryan Wells. I am running for Dover mayor. I am also 3rd generation North Idaho. My grandfather worked on the Cooley Dam and then moved to Coeur d'Alene. My parents were married in 1965 in Coeur d'Alene. My grandfather served on the city council 60 years ago and was vice mayor of Coeur d'Alene. Excuse me. My wife and I bought our first house on Mill Avenue in Coeur d'Alene. It was a mill era town. So our mill era house. We moved to Bonner County 20 years ago, and I became a Dover resident 4 years ago. From a historical perspective, I've seen firsthand the changes in Coeur d'Alene. I was here when the mill closed in Sandpoint. I understand the changes that Dover is going through. Dover's a fantastic city, and we're way ahead of the curve when it comes to growth. With that said, we're still experiencing some growing pains, and we have some things to address. I'm a business manager who's worked with our local businesses, cities, county, and state for the past 20 years. I have a long time membership in many of our most active community organizations. I'm a charter member of the Rotary Club of Pend Oreille. I've served as president. Currently, I'm a chairman of the board of the Elks. I've also served on search and rescue in both Kootenai and Bonner counties, and I served on the board of Priest Lake Search and Rescue. I've watched Dover's leadership leave town and leave empty spots in our government. I appreciate those who have stayed and continued the work. It's time to give them some new support. I'm really looking forward to discussing with you our ideas for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Okay, those are your 2 candidates for the Dover mayoral race. And next, we're going to go into opening statements for the council portion. And going alphabetically, that would be Kim Bledsoe, who is Participating via Zoom.
Right there.
There she is right there. Kim works in healthcare, so she's at home right now participating. And we appreciate you taking the time, Kim, and you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you, and thank you for hosting the forum tonight, and thank you for all attending. Like Ben mentioned, my name is Kim Bledsoe. I was born and raised in Boise, Idaho, and I've been in Bonner County for the past 26 years and living in Dover for the past 5 years. I love Bonner County, and I think Idaho is the best state to live in. I'm raising my 2 sons here along with my husband, Ben. They love it here too. And my reason for running for city council is I feel that it is a gift of service, and it's my turn to step up and offer what I can to support our city government. I feel it's important for every one of us to take our turn in that endeavor. Some of the things I feel that are important as a city council member, if I were to be elected, would be to also maintain Dover's historical value that we have. We have a very unique history, and we have some very unique buildings. I'd love to see those preserved and carry on and function as community resources and continue to do so. I really love our river and lake and the wetlands. I'd like to see sustainable growth that protects those resources for everyone. I want to ensure my children can live here if they choose to do so, and that I can continue to live here as well and not be taxed out in retirement. I feel as a council member, our position is to be a good shepherd of the taxpayer dollar and to make decisions based on listening to our constituency. I would say listening is probably the most important thing we can offer our community and our citizens. My background is a small business owner. I've worked in healthcare and education, and I think that has taught me to collaborate and work well with others and seek optimal solutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim. We appreciate that. We have somebody in the place here doing timing, but for at home, we're going to try to chat and say time. So just, it might be fun, but all right. Thank you, Kim. And also next up on the Dover City Council race will be Merlin Glass. Merlin, you have 2 minutes.
As he said, my name is Merlin Glass, and thank you for hosting this event. I've been in public service my whole life. I didn't think that you could turn it off when you retire. That's kind of hard to do. Just because you retire, public service is who you are. I served 36 active years in the fire service and 8 years deploying with FEMA, going to disasters all across the United States. I'm still willing to serve my community, and applying responsible management is what I want to offer. Kind of think the things that come out for me through this election, you've heard it, responsible growth. I use the word responsible rather than some of the other terms that are used. Area development will always be a concern. That comes with the territory of being on a city council. I don't want to lose what Dover was, and I don't want to lose what Dover, Idaho is. The other thing is public safety. We're in a JPA. We share resources, and that's the method of doing business in emergency services. I actively support, and I think they deserve our support and gratitude. It needs assistance, support for recruitment, retention, training. Every community promises services, some level of service. At Dover, I want to make sure that we maintain that. Citizenship is a word that I grew up with, and I encourage the public to participate, like you all here now, and understand the process. And we're in a collection of neighborhoods. I'd like to do something to unify that. Highway 2 goes up the middle, and we got to do something to bring everybody on the same page. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up for the Dover City Council race, Amy Lizotz. Lizotz? Lizotz. I almost had it right. I even asked her. So you have 2 minutes, Amy.
Hello, my name is Amy Lazad, and I'm running for the Dover City Council. I grew up in even a smaller town on the other side of the lake in Hope, where my family still resides. I have a beautiful 22-year-old daughter who works at Lehman's downtown. I run a massage practice, Sandpoint, and I love living in Dover. It's one of the best places for the proximity to Sandpoint, riding bikes, running trails, swimming access, all of that. I'm running for the council in Dover to give the local residents a voice for concerns in regards to safety and, like everyone has said, the responsible growth for our area. I've been going to the council meeting since I moved there, and I've seen what it is when you actually attend the meetings, you know what's happening. And I would love to help ignite that enthusiasm in the rest of the community to show up to the meetings, because when people speak up, it makes change. And if nobody's coming to the meeting and voicing their concerns, then we don't have that participation. So really, I love to continue to highlight Dover's history just because it's rich. I brought this book tonight called Pushed Out by a local woman who wrote it from Dover, and it's an incredible book that I recommend everyone to read just because it highlights the history of Dover in an incredible way. So it's really my desire to give back to this area and preserve high quality of life. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Amy. And finally, we have Mark Sauter for the Dover City Council race. Mark, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Mark Sauter. I've lived in Dover since 2016, in the Sandpoint area since 2012. I'm a retired fire chief. I served 30 years in the fire service, 8 of them as fire chief. I'm currently a part-timer with the Selkirk Fire Department. I do fire prevention and administration work with them, and I'm the current president of the Fire Chiefs Association here in Barnard County. I live across the highway from the actual resort and historical Dover, so I'm in the rural part of town. I'd like to see us complete some of the projects that have been started and talked about for our community. We need to get our post office built. We need to get our water supply line brought in from the Essex tank that will support historic Dover and the development. We have a transition that will be coming. We're going to end having the Urban Renewal Agency in 6 to 8 years. And I think that's going to be a transition that our community will have to deal with, especially our city council. It will likely change some of our funding for our community, and I think that's going to be important to check. I'm a careful budgeter. I have a long history with that. And I'm anxious to work with the other council members here. But I also think it's really important to work with our public. I've been walking and knocking, as I say, all over our community, whether it's West Pine or my own neighborhood, Syringa. Started in the historical Dover a few days ago, and it's really interesting to hear the comments from our public. And I think it's really important for us to listen to them and to go out and reach out to them as well. Thanks for your time.
All right, thank you, Mark. Just a reminder that there are 2 seats open in the Dover Council, and there are a total of 4 candidates. And that concludes the opening statements. We don't have a ton of questions that have been submitted. We only have a few. So if you're listening at home and you have a question for the Dover candidates, please put it in the chat. If you're in the room and you have one, please let us know and get Rafe's attention over there. So right now we're going to open it up to questions. Since we have so few, we're going to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a 2-minute response just to give you a little bit more time. Because we have a little bit more time in this section. So Stephanie, that's your cue on that one. And this is for all the candidates. So we can start with the mayoral race again. And we're going to start backwards alphabetical. So Ryan, you'll be first. Do you feel the council and mayor have the city headed in the right direction? Is there something that you would like to do differently? And you get 2 minutes on that.
Well, I think we're accomplishing that right here now. I would love to see a full elected body in that organization. We've had a number of appointments and different things over the past few years that have left some gaps. So I think we're on a great track with a bunch of interested people who are willing to serve. Are we on the right track? We have some hiccups going on where we have people suing people within town. We haven't completed projects. There's a number of different things that need to be done. I don't know what the big hangup is on some of it. Money is there. We just need to get these things done like we've talked about. The group that we have here, I think will be able to get organized very quickly and chip away at some of these projects, look at some of the things that have been backlogged because we haven't had a full staff there. And I think that the next 4 years we'll be able to finish quite a few of these things that have been languishing.
Thank you. And George Eskridge, you get 2 minutes if you like.
Thank you, Ben.
And then anytime you need me to repeat a question, just let me know.
I think the city is headed in the right direction. We've had some problems in the past, and in fact, that's one of the reasons I'm running for mayor. We've had, because of the differences created by Dover Bay development as opposed to traditional Dover, if you'll excuse that term, we've had some disagreements, but the current city council with the previous mayor, Mike Davis, have strived to change our direction. They've got a very well done website. They're being transparent with their city council meetings. And in fact, they just instituted a procedure where everybody coming to the council can have a few minutes up front to talk about anything in Dover that concerns them, even though it may not be on the agenda. I think that's the direction that we should be taking, more transparency in Dover government. I think the current city council, and I think all of us here are interested in doing that and making it even more transparent as a government working with the needs of the citizens of Dover. I think we are headed in the right direction. We're trying hard to get the people of Dover involved in government. We're trying to get past the issues, as Ryan said, in terms of disagreements. I think we're making progress there and working very hard to settle those agreements without the need for lawsuits. So I just got my flag. Thank you very much for that question.
All right. You know, next time we're going to have you have flags like the football refs, I think. That'd be fun. Okay, starting with the council, we're going to go backwards alphabetically. So Mark Sauter, you'll be first. Repeat the question for you. Okay, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, I agree we have some forward momentum. I think it's really important for the council to be filled up and to have 5 engaged council members. The council and the mayor serve as the administration for the city, and I think it's really important for all 5 of us to have our oars in the water. So I think that will help. I think getting things done, the projects, I think will help unite the town. Building a post office that everybody can use, I think would be a good would be a good start for us. Just as attending meetings like the housing meeting that's held in the county, the economic development meetings that are held in the county, Dover should participate in those. I know they're short-staffed now, but we should be full-staffed once there's an election, and I'll say that's in January. So I think it's important for us to participate in the rest of the county, and I think we will also get some benefit out of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And next up, we're going to have Amy.
Can you repeat the
Yeah. Do you feel the council and mayor have the city headed in the right direction currently? And is there something you'd want to do differently if elected?
I feel like the present council, which is been working short-staffed, have really worked hard to stay on par with the issues that are going on in Dover. I feel like since I've been going to the meetings, I've seen how long it takes for something to be presented and then for it to come to fruition. And it takes time. So when I first went, it was because of the road traffic, and that was 5 years ago. And it took 5 years for them to reduce the speed in the city limits. So I just know that it takes time, and really what it is, it's community participation and interest that pushes things forward. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Next up, we'll have Merlin. I'd like me to repeat the question.
I'm in agreement. I think that the mayor, city council are working in the best interest of people of Dover. Some of the projects that have been described as overdue, it's because they prioritize, okay? You set objectives, but you got to prioritize and put them in order. Sometimes that stretches the time limit out. Contractors, finding contractors to do water, wastewater projects is not easy. So I think they're moving in the right direction. In 2017, they rewrote the comprehensive plan for Dover. It's well worth reading because it really breaks down what the goals are and sets objectives and addresses things that the public can understand and internalize and be a part of. So looking at the comp plan, looking at the plot, the use map for Dover shows that we're mixed use, a lot of different kinds of neighborhoods. And I'd like to see more agricultural pursuits for Dover because that's more compatible with the resort recreation type theme. And it's something that's already there, serves what we already have. So I think that the council's working well. I think a lot of things that have been problems in the past have been resolved. So that's all I can say. I think I've attended almost every meeting since last year and a half for the council meetings and watched. And while they're, short-staffed sometimes, that happens, okay? You just pick up and move on. So the mayor's doing a good job and the council as well.
Thank you. And Kim, you're up next. You have 2 minutes. And the question is, do you feel the council and mayor have the city headed in the right direction currently? And is there something you would want to do differently?
Thanks, Ben. Well, right now, Dover doesn't have an active mayor. So we have 3 council members that are performing the job of many. I think they're doing an outstanding job with the resources they currently have. They show up, they do the homework, they put their heart and soul into it. We have a small city staff supporting them. So I really commend them for what they've done. As mentioned, big projects take a lot of time and a lot of collaboration with different entities, working with Dura, working with the highway district, you name it. So I really feel they're doing a good job. I would like to see the new council in place continue the hard work they've done. They've laid the groundwork for the water sewer treatment upgrade. They're moving in the right direction. And the only thing that's really hindering them is, as mentioned, working with different entities and contractors. So I'm proud of the work they've done, and I would be proud to carry it on. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. All right, we have another question. Just a reminder to candidates here, speaking into the mic, a good distance away from the mic is about a fist. And you want to point the mic at your mouth instead of like that. That helps better instead of like that. Because we have a lot of people listening on the radio and KRFY and home. Just want to make sure they can hear all of your insightful information. Okay, the next question is for the for mayoral and the Dover candidates. We're going to start with George in the mayoral race. And there's been a history of contention between the city and the Dover Bay development. What actions would you take to make it a more collaborative relationship after you are elected? And you have 2 minutes, George.
That was one of the main reasons why I am running for governor, or good mayor. All right, a little bit high step.
Breaking news.
So don't tell Mayor Ronstadt, okay? But that's one of the reasons why I'm running for mayor. We do have dissension in the community. A lot of it is caused because of disagreements over water infrastructure. And these are disagreements that have divided the community. We need to resolve those. I think we're on the way to doing that. We're sitting down and talking and trying to get full understanding of the issue and why we are in the situation we are. I think the council and my intent would be to be even more transparent, encourage people to come to the council meetings, and encourage people to take part and understand why these issues are out there and why we're having difficulty getting them solved. We don't need to solve these with lawsuits, which bring about the dissension and disagreement within the community. We need to do it by talking, providing full understanding, providing information on what those issues are and get them solved. I'm used to doing this as a representative in the state government. When I served there, it does no good to try to resolve things with lawsuit. You do it by sitting down, talking together, working together, and coming up with solutions that in this case would benefit the whole town of Dover. We're a fragmented community. We have several sections of Dover. We need to bring it together, getting everybody to talk together and solve issues.
Thank you, George. And next up, we have Ryan. Same question. Would you like me to repeat it? There's been a history of contention between the city and the Dover Bay development. What actions would you take to make it a more collaborative relationship after you are elected? And you have 2 minutes, please.
So this is nicely solving itself organically. We have a lot of new residents in the development. We're getting a lot more people involved. That is creating a bigger breadth of information that comes in from our residents. It isn't there yet, but I think that we're on track to solving kind of this draw lines and point fingers back and forth. We've had a lot of good dialogue, and I think that will continue. One of the things that was brought up is the Dura will be expiring soon. That's going to create a different environment that will kind of unite the city too, is in one taxing district other than two different ones like we have now. Nobody's really talked about trails and connectivity yet. We have a lot of different places, islands in the stream, if you will. We have a part that's almost going to be a third the size of Dover at some point here very quickly. We're not connected very well. And I think that would be a really easy way to start doing that. George walks through on the trails and does that. If we can get those more connected and kind of reach across the highway and do different things like that, I think that would be a really big step. Get our people out talking. It would be great to have a block party type situation where we can get people together in the summer and just do what we like to do there and recreate and have fun together. And I think that's the steps we need to take, kind of that grassroots organic level of talking with us and our neighbors, whether it's next door or on the hill or in historic Dover or wherever it is. I would just like to see people get together more.
All right, thank you. And next up, we are going to have Kim. Kim, you're at home. I forgot to cue you up on this one. The question for Kim is, there has been a history of contention between the city and the Dover Bay development. What actions would you take to make it a more collaborative relationship after you are elected? And you have 2 minutes, please.
Thanks, Ben. Yes, there is a history there, but I think we have moved past that. I'd like to think so, and learn from those lessons in that. as far as involving our community, which does involve Old Dover, New Dover, rural Dover, and beyond, I would like to see more avenues for input, such as town meetings, surveys, polls, town halls, anything that we can receive input from our community. Not everybody's comfortable working online or has great internet access. So we've got to really make sure that we're doing things that involve the most people and offering different ways for them to be involved. Council meetings are one way, but some folks can't make those meetings. So I also love the idea of bringing our community together for fun things and not just the hard work part. So I love the idea of growing our community and involving the community in those hard decisions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kim. And next up is Merlin. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Oh, I think I got it.
Okay, you have 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, I think lawsuits is a byproduct of a development the size of Dover Bay to a small community. I'm not surprised. Fortunately, they've been resolved. And when you lawyer up, it just pollutes the water for everything. And that's a bad way to transact management and business. Some of the things that were mentioned about bringing the community together, first and foremost, I would say attend the planning meetings, have a voice. The beginning of all the planning meetings and city council meetings, and they always have a public comment section. That's your chance, okay, to express your reservations and speak for yourself. That works. Council listens, and that causes the reactions that you want. There's a whole slew of projects that are waiting in queue. City council is responsible for prioritizing those. So every year it's within budget. We can't print money. I'm on the Dura board. And so Dura was established. It's actually an arm of the state that takes money for property increases and directs it through the channels for infrastructure, revitalization, special kind of projects that enhance the community. It sunsets in 2029. Okay, so we've got about 8 more years of it. So it's going to be around, but it takes those tax increment money over year after year. We've all seen property values go up and directs that for revitalization and get to those projects that have sat there on the back shelf and eventually I hope to get them done. So that's why I'm running for city council. Thank you.
Thank you, Merlin. Amy, you're up next. Would you like me to repeat the question? There has been a history of contention between the city and the Dover Bay development. What actions would you take to make it a more collaborative relationship after you are elected? You have 2 minutes, please.
I've seen with my clients and the work that I do, I work with clients that live in Dover Bay. I work with clients in Dover, and it's really interesting the energy that has built up between even the residents that live inside Dover Bay amongst the development that they're living in, that they feel they don't want to see continue at the rate it is. So it's a complex issue. I feel like really to bridge both sides is to come together and be able to know what's happening in Dover Bay with their meetings as a council. I really feel like what I would like to see with the city council, with the town hall meetings, it's an open forum where people actually can just come and talk, and it's not structured in a way where you have 1 minute to say something, where people can actually have a conversation about what they see is being laid out and how they want to handle themselves with it. I feel like really that's what I would want to put the most energy into, is the communication between the development and people in the residential area. When I was reading the book Pushed Out, there was a community picnic that happened every year in Dover. And they kind of talked about how the demise happened with that, with the social class. And it would be great to install that again in the city of Dover, like Kim said, to make things a little more community oriented and utilize the actual city hall for that kind of, and also the community beach for those kind of activities. Thanks.
Thank you, Amy. And Mark Sauter, you're up next. Want me to repeat? You got it.
Yeah, I'll try the mic hold. Rock star Ben. First and foremost, I think we just need to get some clear information out there. I think all of our residents, meaning all across town, need to know how the money is spent, where it comes from, and then also the benefits that are included. Over the last several years, a lot of our infrastructure has been improved, and it's helped the whole town, not just the development and not just historic Dover. So I think it's important to explain everything to people and make sure it's well known. I think our former mayor had some get-togethers, whether they were card parties or whatever. But the story is he did a pretty good job of trying to unite some of the historic Dover and the development residents a few times a month or once a month. And I think that was said that helped. Perhaps we could try and do that. There is a historic building in Dover. I think it's owned by the church right now over on Washington. But that would be a likely candidate for a place to meet. It's not in the best of repair now, but it'd be a good community project to take up as well. Personally, I think a simple newsletter from our council would be a helpful thing for all of our residents. Wouldn't be that hard to let them know what's going on at a grassroots level. Also be a way to pick up some good information back from the public. Right now, I don't believe, looking at the city budget and the Dura budget, that money really is a problem. I think it's really a matter of getting to work and getting our projects finished. And last, I would say, at least my experience is lawsuits are often the signal of frustration. So just better communication up and down and throughout our community should certainly help the situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. We have one more quick question. We're going to cut down the response time to a minute because we're getting close. We want to give you a chance to give a closing statement. Ryan, we're going to start with you. And the question is, what is your definition of responsible growth? And what was
affordable housing?
What is your definition of responsible growth? And how does affordable housing play into that as it applies to Dover?
Can I have 1 minute?
1 minute.
Okay.
You can solve all the problems.
So responsible growth is our comp plan. We have sat down, people have gone over this for a long time. The development had to submit the entire plan for approval. This stuff has happened. If we go ahead and follow what is in place, I think we're on a good track with that. People have worked a long time to establish those things. As far as the affordable housing, and Mark brought it up, I was dismayed that we didn't even participate, Dover, in the forum to discuss that in the county. You know, and I think that's a major fail, I guess, for us as a group. And I think that we do have places in Dover where we can start thinking about ways to do things differently, partnering with land trusts, different things that are there to find some places where we can actually put affordable housing in. You know, dirt is very expensive everywhere, but if we have some big landholders who, you know, want to look at that issue, I think that's something we can tackle pretty well in the next few days.
That was your 15 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan. George, you're up next. What is your definition of responsible growth and affordable housing as it applies to Dover? And
I think responsible growth is realizing the limitations of the area you have. If you're going to have responsible growth, you've got to do it in coordination with your ability to provide infrastructure and the necessary equipment or infrastructure or roads to provide the support for that growth that you're experiencing. Our comp plan, as Ryan has indicated, is a good planning document. We need to follow that. If we follow that and revise it as we need to, then I think we will be on the road to a responsible growth criteria. As far as affordable housing, I don't think Dover has the facilities to provide affordable housing within the city limits of Dover. My suggestion is Dover work with other adjacent entities, such as the city of Sandpoint, to devise zoning requirements, housing requirements, these kinds of things to allow affordable housing to be developed. We don't have the room in Dover, but we do have the ability to interact with other jurisdictions to help make possible housing available for our low-income wage earners in the Sandpoint, Bonner County area. With that, thank you. Stand up.
All right. Thank you, George. We're going to do Merlin first into the council race. What's your definition of responsible growth and affordable housing as it applies to Dover? 1 minute, please.
1 minute. Responsible growth. You've seen the Dover Bay development take 285 acres out of the circumference of Dover. Dover is 3.2 square miles. And in the 2010 census, it was 550 people lived there. Today, there's 1,032. So that equates out to 85% growth in the last 10 years. The reality is that Dover is unique in as much as it's got the resort and recreational facilities and also some open space. Guarding that is what a lot of the people who live in Dover would desire. If I had to offer one suggestion for the idea of affordable housing, is that you stop calling it affordable housing. Okay, Bill Gates he looks for affordable housing. Okay, target down to the people who you actually want to represent and work it backwards. Look at the kind of people that you're trying to serve and figure out what their needs are and then build something. And I think you'll get to some conclusions a lot faster and a lot better for the public to understand that will work across multiple jurisdictions. And like was mentioned, Dover's a small community. We're happy to work with anybody. The average age in Dover is 48 years old. That tells you who the populace is, okay? And that sets up what you can do in terms of change. Thank you.
Thank you, Merlin. Kim, you're going to be next here. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, that's okay. Thank you.
1 minute, please.
Okay. Responsible growth to me is growth that can ensure our infrastructure can support it and can support our natural resources. It doesn't make any sense to have growth that your infrastructure is not going to support. We're kind of seeing that right now, I would say, on Highway 2. In the morning, there's a lot of traffic coming from our bedroom communities of Laclede and Priest River in those areas. So responsible growth to me is just that. We've got to make sure our infrastructure is going to support it. We're not going to hide from growth. It's inevitable. And we've got to protect our natural resources. The reason we choose to live here, our wetlands, our river, our lake, our mountains, our drinking water, our sewage. Housing to me is a Dover issue. I think it's really important for us to learn from other communities that have faced it. I do think it's going to affect Dover. I do think we need to make room for accessible and affordable housing. I'm really excited about some of the innovations that have been coming up locally. The Culver Crossing development, where folks have homes built based on their income, is a wonderful idea. if that's my minute, thank you, but
Scroll down through.
thank you.
Sorry.
I was
Thank
trying
you.
to figure out how
Thank
to
you, Kim.
find
Let's see, and Mark, you're gonna be next on this one.
It wasn't, it was down farther.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I do think we have some options for affordable housing.
Is it somebody I know?
We have a good.
Okay, text me, let me know if you get it, okay?
However, it is a little bit stale at this point. I do think we should look at some of our mixed use areas. The entry in our town, for instance, could easily be mixed commercial with some residential upstairs. That's done pretty frequently now in a lot of towns, and I think it's at least worth a look. Even a few units would help. Just one at a time, we could help that situation. I know the people at the Dish, for instance, they all travel a considerable way just to get back and forth to work. Some of them commute to Washington to find housing. So we do have a local need, and I think we should do our best to fill that. I also think we need to finish out our infrastructure. That's the responsible thing to do for the city council. And then I also think that by finishing that infrastructure, we would set the table, if you will, with a few zoning options for people to come in and build. So I think the market will help us fill that as well if we provide a good solid field to play on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And finally, Amy, would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure.
What is your definition of responsible growth and affordable housing as it applies to Dover? And you have 1 minute, please.
Okay. For responsible growth for Dover is not outbuilding your infrastructure. So you have to have the infrastructure first before you can build. And I feel like Dover's a very unique environment that most open space now, there's not a large capacity for much more building. But the comprehensive plan they did an excellent job creating a guideline for any new subdivision building in the area, which is excellent. And I agree with Merlin with the affordable housing, because this, at this point, has gotten, the word affordable housing has been overused. And I feel like, what is affordable housing? People have to say affordable housing is a $300,000 house. That is affordable housing, instead of continuing to use the word affordable housing. Because my daughter right now, she's looking at buying a house with her boyfriend, and they can't buy anything around here. The $300,000 house to them is a $1,700 a month mortgage, and the only place they can find anything like that is in Spokane. So I really do think that people need to stop and think about what is actual affordable housing, and the number of what affordable housing is really about the $300,000 amount. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the Q&A portion for Dover. We're going to give you all 30 seconds as a closing statement. I'm sorry, but we're just about out of time.
45.
45? Okay, I've just been granted another 15 seconds apiece. So we're going to start with, let's see, we start with the mayoral. Let's start with the council. And let us start with Kim. Please, 45-second closing statement, and we'll try to cue you when that's up.
Well, thank you so much again for hosting tonight. The reason I'm running for city council is that I want the best for all of Dover citizens. I'm dedicated to doing the homework, showing up, and most importantly, listening to everyone's input. I think listening is going to be the most important thing that a new council member can do. I have a deep appreciation for Dover and for Idaho. I do think being on council is a gift of service. And if you're there for any other reason, you're going to be probably disappointed, but I'm ready to do my part. I want to look for ways to improve citizen involvement, utilizing the technology we already have, improving upon that, and also doing in-person town hall meetings and making it fun. So thank you so much, and please vote on November 2nd.
Thank you, Kim. Mark, you're going to be next, please.
Thanks. I'll give up 15 seconds, I think. I'm Mark Sauter. I really want to just stress, I'm very interested and excited about working with the council for our community. I've been walking and talking for the last 2 weekends out in the neighborhoods, and I firmly believe that's the best way to learn about our community and to get good citizen input. So I'd like to continue that in the future, and I'll be continuing that this weekend, sounds like in the rain. So hopefully I'll see some of our Dover residents this weekend. So please open the door. Thank you soon, and talk to you soon.
Thank you, Mark. Amy, you're next. 45 seconds, please.
Thank you for everyone showing up and hosting the forum. I would love to just thank all the people running for the council in Dover and for the mayor. This whole process, I think, is excellent, and it would be really hard for me to decide who would be great to be on council with, since everyone is. To collaborate, to continue the collaboration with the local residents in the area is really, truly my desire. And like Kim said, this is really a place of giving back to the community in which you live. So thank you.
All right, thank you. And Merlin, you're up next, please. 45 seconds.
Okay, thanks again for hosting this forum. And thanks for everybody that showed up and out there in Zoom land. My wife and I had arrived here about 4 years ago. We just fell in love with the place. We tell people that, we came for the beauty, we ended up staying for the people. We could have lived on any number of places. Dover is a wonderful, wonderful place. And I guess that's the best testimony I can give to the people that live there and the people that are trying to represent. And even if you don't vote for me, get out and vote on the 2nd, okay? My name is Merlin Glass. You can't miss that name on the ballot. Thank you very much.
Okay, those are your 4 candidates for the Dover City Council race: Kim Bledsoe, Merlin Glass, Amy Lazad, and Mark Sauter. And now we're going to have closing statements for the Dover mayoral race. We will start with Ryan Wells, please. You have 45 seconds.
Yeah, thank you everybody for participating. I think, that would be my big go forward moment is let's keep involved. Everybody that's online, everybody that's in there, let's not stop the dialogue after the election. Communication would be one of my big things. We need to update our website. We need to get more things out there for people to interact with us more easily. My kids, born and raised, went through Bonner County schools. They love to come back to Dover, and that just makes my heart warm because I don't have to go chase them down someplace. They can't afford to live here right now, but I'm super happy they love to come back. And I want to see that for all of us and all of our kids. I think we have a great city and we've got a few things to work on, but get out and vote and we'll see y'all soon.
Thank you, Ryan. And George Eskridge next, please. 45 seconds, George.
Ben, Selkirk Realtors, thank you for putting this forum on, hosting it, and a great opportunity to get our message across. Whether you grew up in Dover, like me, or recently discovered this special place, I want to work with you to secure the future of our town, Dover, for our family and your children and everybody else that would like to move to Dover, and we welcome you. I ask for your vote, all of you Dover people out there listening, and who I may meet over the next few days as I do what Mark does and walk the towns and ask for your vote. I ask for your vote, and I ask you to vote on November 2nd so that we may work together for Dover's bright future for all of us.
Okay, those were candidates for the Dover mayoral race. George Eskridge, who just spoke there, and Ryan Wells. We're going to take a briefest of breaks here to reset. Dover candidates, we like George said, we will not be offended if you want to take off. Your portion of the evening is done, so have a beer and enjoy yourselves.
Sandpoint and, yeah, thank you.